The day my mother chose my twin brother over me wasn't marked by dramatic music or thunderous skies. Instead, it happened over Earl Grey tea in bone china cups, served with the same lemon squares she'd been making since we were kids. I'm Nora, and this is the story of how I lost my inheritance but found something far more valuable. Alec has always shown more responsibility with money, my mother said, stirring her tea with practiced precision. He's the sensible choice to manage your father's estate. The lemon square turned to ash in my mouth. Across the antique mahogany table, my brother shifted uncomfortably in his chair, his designer watch catching the afternoon light. We were both 28, separated by mere minutes at birth. Yet somehow those minutes had stretched into a chasm of favoritism that spanned our entire lives. Mom, Alec started, maybe we should... It's already decided. She cut him off, her voice carrying that familiar note of finality. The papers are drawn up. The gallery space your father left will transfer to Alec's name next week. My fingers tightened around the delicate teacup. That gallery was supposed to be mine. The perfect space to showcase my art, to build the dream Dad and I had talked about countless times before cancer took him. I've been managing my own studio for 3 years, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. I've never missed rent, never asked for help. Exactly, Mom interrupted. You're doing fine on your own. Alec needs this opportunity to grow. My best friend Evangeline's words from last week echoed in my head. Your mom's blind spot for Alec is the size of Texas. I'd defended Mom then. Now I wished I hadn't. What about my art? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Mom's lips tightened. Sweetheart, art is a wonderful hobby, but it's not a reliable career. Alec has concrete plans for the space, a high-end retail development, something sustainable. I looked at my brother, searching for the boy who used to sneak into my room with stolen cookies when Mom sent me to bed without dinner for painting on the walls. Instead, I found a stranger in an expensive suit, examining his manicured nails. Congratulations, Alec, I said, standing up. The chair scraped against the hardwood floor, making Mom wince. I hope you enjoy turning Dad's legacy into a boutique mall. Nora, Mom's voice sharpened. Don't be dramatic. This is what's best for everyone. I grabbed my bag, the worn leather a stark contrast to Mom's pristine living room. No, this is what's best for Alec, as usual. Where are you going? Mom called after me. To my studio. You know, the one I built without anyone's help? I have work to do. The door didn't slam behind me. It closed with a soft click that somehow felt more final than any bang could have been. Outside, spring sunshine mocked my mood, warming my skin as tears threatened to fall. My phone buzzed. Evangeline. How'd it go? Her text read. I typed back. Remember when you said I should stop expecting Mom to see me? You were right. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then, come over, I have wine and a plan. That's the thing about rock bottom. It makes a pretty solid foundation to build on. And I was ready to build something spectacular. As I drove to Evangeline's place, my mind wandered to the painting waiting on my easel back at the studio. It was different from my usual work, darker, more intense. I'd started it the night Dad died, when Mom had rushed to comfort Alec while I sat alone in the hospital hallway. My phone buzzed again. Alec. I'm sorry, sis. I tried to talk to her. I turned off my phone without responding. Sorry didn't cut it anymore. Neither did excuses or explanations or well-meaning platitudes about family. Evangeline was waiting on her porch when I pulled up, 2 glasses of red wine already poured. She took one look at my face and opened her arms. You know what? She said as I hugged her. This might be the best thing that could have happened. I pulled back, wiping my eyes. How exactly is losing my inheritance the best thing? She handed me a wine glass, her eyes sparkling with that look she gets when she's about to say something important. Because now you have nothing holding you back. No obligations, no family expectations. Just pure burning motivation to prove them wrong. I took a sip of wine, letting her words sink in. She was right. Mom's decision hadn't just cost me an inheritance. It had freed me from the last threads of hope that she'd ever see me as equal to Alec. And freedom, I was beginning to realize, could be a dangerous thing in the hands of someone with nothing left to lose. 3 months after the inheritance bombshell, I was balancing on a stepladder at 2 a.m., hanging lights in my studio for my first real exhibition. Well, potential exhibition. I still needed to convince someone to actually show my work. If you fall and die, I'm taking your good brushes, Evangeline called from below, holding a tangle of extension cords. If I fall and die, sell my paintings. I'm worth more dead anyway, I replied, securing another hook to the ceiling. Speaking of money, she hesitated. Have you heard from your mom? The ladder wobbled as I climbed down. Only through Alec's Instagram. Apparently they're meeting with architects about renovating Dad's gallery. Jerks, Evangeline muttered, then brightened. But hey, look at this place. You've turned it into something amazing. She wasn't wrong. My tiny studio had transformed over the past months. I'd worked double shifts at the coffee shop, taught evening art classes to retirees, and sold commissioned portraits until my hands cramped. Every dollar went into making this space perfect. My phone buzzed on the paint-splattered table. Unknown number. Hello? I answered, expecting another telemarketer. Is this Nora? A male voice, confident but friendly. This is Brent Pearson from the Edge Gallery. My heart stopped. The Edge Gallery was the kind of place that launched careers. I'd sent them my portfolio last week in a moment of wild optimism. Yes, this is Nora, I managed, gripping the phone tighter. Evangeline mouthed, Who is it? But I waved her off. I hope you don't mind the late call. I just finished looking through your portfolio and I couldn't wait until morning. Your work, it's extraordinary. Especially Inheritance, the piece with the burning house reflected in the tea set. That painting had poured out of me the night after Mom's announcement. I'd used Dad's old tea set as reference, the one Mom had served lemon squares on that day. Thank you, I said, trying to sound professional despite my racing pulse. I'm glad you connected with it. Connected is an understatement. Listen, we have an opening in our schedule next month. One of our artists dropped out. Would you be interested in showing your collection? Evangeline was practically dancing now, reading my expression. I gripped the ladder for support. I would be very interested, I said, proud of how steady my voice sounded. When would you like to meet? We set up a meeting for the next morning. After hanging up, I turned to Evangeline, who was vibrating with excitement. Well, she demanded. The Edge Gallery wants to show my work, next month. Her scream probably woke the entire building. This is it. This is your moment. She grabbed my hands, spinning me around. We have to celebrate. Wine? No champagne. I can't, I said, already turning to my easels. I need 3 more pieces to fill the space. I have to start now. Nora, she said, her tone turning serious. You've been working non-stop for months. One night of celebration won't... I can't stop, Eve. Not now. I picked up a brush, testing its weight. Mom and Alec think art is just my hobby. They're probably picking out luxury boutique fixtures right now, laughing about my phase. I need to prove them wrong. You don't need to prove anything to them. Yes, I do. I started mixing colors, the familiar motion calming my nerves, and I need to prove something to myself. My phone buzzed again. Alec. Mom's asking if you're coming to Sunday dinner. She's making your favorite pasta. I showed the message to Evangeline, who rolled her eyes. Classic manipulation tactic. I typed back, can't, deadline for a big project. 3 dots appeared immediately. Come on, sis. She's trying. No, I replied. She's pretending nothing happened. Different thing. I turned back to my canvas, the empty white space both terrifying and thrilling. Eve, you should go home, get some sleep. And leave you alone to work yourself to death? Not happening. She pulled up a chair, propping her feet on my supply cart. I'll stay and make sure you don't accidentally drink the paint water again. That was one time. One time too many, my friend. As I started sketching, the familiar piece of creation settled over me. Each stroke felt like a step away from that tea party, away from Mom's dismissal, away from being the lesser twin. Evangeline's soft humming mixed with the scratch of charcoal on canvas, and I smiled, remembering something Dad used to say. Art isn't about what you make, sweetheart. It's about what makes you. Right now, determination was making me. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of revenge too. The Edge Gallery smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Brent walked me through the space, his enthusiasm growing with each piece we hung. The lighting hits this one perfectly, he said, stepping back from Inheritance. It's like the teacups are actually burning. I adjusted the frame slightly. That's the idea. Beauty in destruction. Speaking of destruction, a new voice called from the doorway. I hear you're about to destroy the local art scene. I turned to find a tall man in a charcoal blazer leaning against the entrance, a press badge hanging from his neck. His smile was warm, but his eyes were sharp, taking in every detail of the gallery. Nora, meet Nicholas Clark, Brent said. He's the city's most feared art critic. And its most handsome, Nicholas added, walking over to examine Inheritance more closely. Though right now, I'm more interested in being its most impressed. This is extraordinary work. My cheeks warmed. Thank you. The gallery door chimed again, and my words died in my throat. Alec stood there in his usual designer suit, looking as out of place as a peacock in a parking lot. Surprise, sis. He spread his arms wide. Thought I'd check out your little art show. Brent and Nicholas exchanged glances as the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. How did you know about this? I asked, keeping my voice level. Mom's been following your Instagram. The Edge Gallery tagged you in their upcoming shows post. He wandered over to one of my paintings, tilting his head. This one's interesting. What's it supposed to be? It's about familial betrayal, I said sweetly. I'm sure you can relate. Nicholas coughed to hide what sounded suspiciously like a laugh. Look, Nora, Alex sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. I came to extend an olive branch. We're opening the new shopping complex in Dad's old gallery next month. Mom and I thought maybe we could display some of your work in the lobby. The audacity of his offer hit me like a slap. You want to hang my art in the lobby of the building you stole from me? We didn't steal anything, he protested. Mom made a business decision. A business decision? I grabbed the edge of a nearby table, my knuckles turning white. Is that what you call choosing you over me? Again? Nicholas cleared his throat. Perhaps I should come back another time. No, I said firmly. Please stay. My brother was just leaving. Actually, Alec pulled out his wallet. I was thinking of buying one of these. Show my support. They're not for sale to you. Don't be ridiculous, Nora. Everything's for sale. Not to you, I repeated, and not to Mom. You can't buy your way out of what you did. He stuffed his wallet back in his pocket, his facade cracking slightly. Fine, but don't come crying to us when this little artistic phase of yours crashes and burns. Phase? Nicholas stepped forward. Mr. Alec, was it? I've reviewed art for 15 years, and your sister's work is anything but a phase. It's profound, technically brilliant, and deeply moving. In fact, he pulled out his phone. I'm writing my review right now. Alec's face reddened. She's my twin sister. I think I know her better than you do. Do you? I asked quietly. Because the brother I grew up with would never have taken something that meant this much to me. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Alec straightened his tie. The lobby offer stands, he said stiffly. Think about it. It would make Mom happy. After he left, Brent let out a low whistle. Well, that was intense. I'm sorry, I started, but Nicholas cut me off. Don't apologize. That interaction just made your work even more fascinating. He gestured to Inheritance. Now I understand where this came from. The pain, the betrayal, the transformation of something delicate into something powerful. He typed rapidly on his phone. This review is writing itself. You're really writing about my show? He looked up, his eyes serious. Nora, your work deserves to be written about, talked about, celebrated. And after meeting your brother, I understand why you paint with such raw emotion. This isn't just art, it's a reckoning. Brent clapped his hands together. Speaking of celebrations, the opening is in 2 days. Are you ready? I thought about Alec's dismissive attitude, about Mom following my Instagram in secret instead of supporting me openly, about Dad's gallery being turned into shops. Yes, I said, straightening my shoulders. I'm more than ready. As we finished hanging the last pieces, I noticed Nicholas lingering by Inheritance again. You know, he said thoughtfully, sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. I smiled, looking around at my work displayed in one of the city's most prestigious galleries. Trust me, I said, I plan to do both. Sunday dinner was Mom's latest attempt at normalcy. I only agreed to come because Evangeline threatened to change my studio locks if I didn't deal with this family drama like an adult. The salmon is lovely, I said, pushing it around my plate. The formal dining room felt smaller than I remembered, stuffed with expensive furniture and uncomfortable silences. I'm glad you came. Mom replied, refilling my wine glass without asking. We've missed you at these dinners. Alec cleared his throat. Speaking of missing things, the contractors found Dad's old sketches in the gallery storage. We saved them for you, Nora. I set down my fork. How thoughtful, giving me Dad's drawings after taking his gallery. Nora, Mom warned, her knife scraping against the china. We're not doing this again. No, let's do this. I took a long sip of wine. Let's talk about how you're gutting Dad's legacy to build another soulless shopping center. It's not soulless, Alec protested. We're creating an upscale retail experience. Dad built that gallery to support local artists, I cut in. He believed in giving people like me a chance. Mom's lips tightened. Your father also believed in financial security, something Alec understands. Really? I pulled out my phone, opening Instagram. Is that why Alec's posting photos from the Monaco Grand Prix while his development project is 3 months behind schedule? Alec choked on his wine. How did you... Oh, I follow your investors on social media. They're not happy about the delays or the budget overruns, especially not while you're living it up in Europe. Mom's face paled. Alec, you said everything was on track. It is. He loosened his tie. There were some unexpected expenses, but, like the new Porsche, I asked innocently, or the yacht rental. That was a business expense, he snapped, for networking. Enough. Mom's hand slammed the table, making the crystal water glasses jump. Nora, I don't know what game you're playing. No games, Mom, just facts. You gave Alec the inheritance because he's responsible with money. I'm just wondering what your definition of responsible is. The silence that followed was thick enough to cut with the expensive steak knives Mom never used. My exhibition opens next week, I said, standing up. I'd invite you both, but I wouldn't want to interrupt your important networking schedules. Sit down, Mom ordered. We're not finished. Actually, we are. But hey, when Alec's upscale retail experience fails, Dad's old sketches might be worth something. You might want to hold on to them. I made it to the front door before Mom caught up with me. Why are you doing this? She demanded. Why can't you just accept my decisions? I turned to face her. Because they're wrong, Mom. They've always been wrong. You picked Alec over me at every turn, and now you can't admit you made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. But her voice wavered slightly. Nicholas Clark is coming to my exhibition, I said. You know, the art critic? He says my work is profound, technically brilliant, worth talking about. That's wonderful, sweetheart. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. Don't pretend to be proud now. You had your chance to support me, to believe in me. Instead, you believed in him. I nodded toward the dining room where Alec sat, probably texting his damage control team. He's your brother, she said weakly, and I'm your daughter. But that never seemed to matter as much, did it? The door clicked shut behind me with familiar finality. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Evangeline. How'd it go? Dropped some truth bombs. Might have started World War III. That's my girl. Wine? No, I replied, starting my car. I need to paint. Back in my studio, I started a new piece. This one wasn't about anger or revenge. It was about transformation, about emerging from shadows, about proving your worth not because you need to, but because you can. My phone buzzed again. Nicholas. Just finished my review. Want a preview? I hesitated, brush hovering over canvas. Will it make me cry? Probably, but in a good way. Send it. As I read his words, his understanding of my work, his praise for my technique, his prediction of my future in the art world, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about proving Mom wrong anymore. This was about proving myself right. I worked through the night, turning pain into beauty, rejection into strength. With each brushstroke, I built something new from the ashes of what was taken from me. And somewhere between midnight and dawn, I realized I wasn't just painting pictures anymore. I was painting my revenge. Opening night at the Edge Gallery felt like a dream, or maybe a fever, given how my hands wouldn't stop shaking as I adjusted my black dress. Stop fidgeting, Evangeline commanded, handing me a champagne flute. You look amazing, and more importantly, your work looks incredible. She wasn't wrong. Under the gallery lights, my paintings seemed to pulse with life, Already the space was filling with people in expensive clothes, murmuring appreciatively as they moved from piece to piece. Nicholas appeared at my elbow. The review dropped an hour ago. Your website's crashed from the traffic. What? I pulled out my phone, but he gently pushed it down. No phones. This is your moment. Live in it. Brent rushed over, practically glowing. 3 pieces sold in the first 30 minutes. The red dots are going up faster than I can print them. A small crowd had gathered around Inheritance, where an elderly woman in pearls was dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. It speaks to me, I heard her say. The way the delicate china reflects the destruction. It's about family, isn't it? About betrayal and rebirth. I started to move toward her, but froze as a familiar figure entered the gallery. Alec, looking unusually disheveled in a rumpled suit. Nora, he called out too loudly. We need to talk. Evangeline stepped forward, but I touched her arm. It's okay. I've got this. I led Alec to a quiet corner, away from the crowds. Up close, I could see dark circles under his eyes. You're making a scene at my exhibition, I said quietly. What do you want? The development project. He swallowed hard. It's in trouble. The investors are pulling out. I know. Your main investor's wife follows me on Instagram. She loved my story about Dad's gallery being destroyed for luxury shops. He ran a hand through his unkempt hair. I need your help, sis. If I can't secure new funding by next month, you'll lose everything, I finished. Like I did. This isn't a game, Nora. I could face legal action. Mom's devastated. Before I could respond, Nicholas approached with a well-dressed couple. Nora, the Harrises want to discuss commissioning a piece for their foundation. He glanced at Alec. Unless this is a bad time? Not at all, I smiled. Alec was just leaving. Please, Alec whispered. I don't know what to do. I looked at my brother, really looked at him. His designer suit couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. For the first time in our lives, he was the one asking for help. Come to my studio tomorrow morning, I said finally. We'll talk. He sagged with relief. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Now please leave before you scare away my collectors. After he slunk out, Nicholas raised an eyebrow. Family drama? Karma, I corrected, turning to the Harrises with my professional smile. Now tell me about this commission. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of congratulations and sales. By closing time, every piece had sold except Inheritance. I'd marked that one not for sale, despite several generous offers. Quite a night, Brent said as the last guests left. You're officially our most successful debut artist ever. Evangeline, who'd been checking her phone, looked up with a grin. And wait until you see what's trending locally on Twitter. Someone posted about Alec's failed development project. It's getting spicy. I don't want to destroy him, I said, surprising myself. I just wanted to be seen, Nicholas finished, joining us with fresh champagne. And believe me, people are seeing you now. I've already had calls from 3 other galleries asking about your next collection. My phone buzzed. Mom, is it true about Alec's project? I typed back, yes, he's coming to see me tomorrow. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Finally, can I come too? I showed the message to Evangeline, who whistled low. Look who's singing a different tune now that Golden Boy's in trouble. She was right. A month ago, this would have felt like victory. Now, looking at my sold-out exhibition, reading the glowing reviews, feeling the weight of my success, it felt different. What are you going to do? Nicholas asked softly. I looked at Inheritance, at the fine china reflecting flames. Dad used to say that art should transform both the viewer and the artist. Maybe it was time for a different kind of transformation. I'm going to help them, I said, but on my terms. You're too nice, Evangeline sighed. No, I smiled, raising my champagne glass. I'm just ready to write a new story. One where I'm not the victim or the villain. One where I'm simply the victor. We clinked glasses as somewhere in the city, my brother and mother prepared for tomorrow's reckoning. But this time, I'd be the one pouring the tea. They arrived at my studio exactly on time. Mom in her pearls, Alec in yesterday's suit. I'd set up 3 chairs around my work table, fresh coffee brewing in the corner. The morning light streamed through the windows, illuminating my newest work in progress. Nice space, Mom said, her eyes darting around. Very artistic. That's the idea. I poured coffee into Dad's old mugs, the ones he used to keep in his gallery office. So, let's talk about how badly you've messed up. Alec slumped in his chair. The investors want their money back. All of it. They're threatening legal action if we can't repay by the end of the month. And the construction companies put a lien on the property. Mom added, her voice thin. We could lose everything. I took a slow sip of coffee. You mean like I lost everything? Nora, please. Alec's voice cracked. I know I screwed up. I know I don't deserve your help. But I don't know what else to do. Mom reached for my hand across the table. I let her take it, feeling the slight tremor in her fingers. I was wrong, she whispered. About everything. About you, your exhibition. It was magnificent. The way people responded to your work. Stop, I said gently. This isn't about my art. This is about Dad's legacy, the one you both destroyed. We can fix it, Alec said quickly. We could convert the space back to a gallery. Maybe you could... I don't want Dad's gallery anymore. I cut him off. I've built my own path. But I do have a proposition for you both. I stood up and walked to my easel, where a half-finished painting waited. Nicholas has connections with several art investment groups. They're looking for new gallery spaces in this area. Spaces with history, with soul. Mom's eyes widened. You mean, they'd buy out your current investors, handle the reconstruction costs, and turn it back into a gallery complex. Multiple spaces, actually. A real art center like Dad always wanted. That's perfect, Alec breathed. When can we meet them? We don't. I handle the negotiations. I turned back to face them. And I set the terms. Mom's hand tightened around her coffee mug. What terms? First, you both sign over all decision-making rights to me. I choose the tenants, the programs, everything. Second, 20% of all profits go to a scholarship fund for young artists, in Dad's name. And third, Alec asked. Third, you both publicly acknowledge that you were wrong. About me, about art, about everything. No more pretending nothing happened. No more family facade. The silence stretched between us like a tightrope. That's a lot to ask, Mom said finally. Actually, I picked up my phone, showing them the latest news about their project's failure. It's not nearly as much as you could lose. Your reputations, your assets, maybe even your freedom if those investors press charges. Alex stood up suddenly, pacing the studio. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching us squirm? No, I said honestly. I'm not. But I am enjoying finally being heard. He stopped by inheritance, studying it with new eyes. This is about that day, isn't it? The tea party where Mom gave me everything? It's about every day, Alec. Every time Mom chose you, every time my dreams were dismissed as hobbies, every time Dad's real vision was ignored. Mom started crying silently, tears rolling down her cheeks. I was so sure I was doing the right thing, so certain I knew best. You didn't, I said softly, but we can make it right. Not for me, I'm doing fine on my own, but for Dad, for what he believed in. Alec returned to his chair, looking defeated. When do you need our answer? Now. The investors won't wait, and neither will I. Mom wiped her eyes, straightening her shoulders. If we agree you'll help us, save us from bankruptcy? Yes, but not because you deserve it, because Dad's legacy deserves better than a failed shopping mall and a broken family. They exchanged looks, the same way they used to when discussing my artistic phase. But this time, I held all the cards. Okay, Alec said finally. We'll do it. All of it. Mom nodded, reaching for my hand again. This time, I didn't take it. I'll have the papers drawn up by tomorrow, I said, standing. And Mom, those pearls might be worth something if you need quick cash. Just a thought. As they left my studio, I heard Mom whisper to Alec. When did she get so strong? I smiled, turning back to my half-finished painting. I'd always been strong. They just never bothered to notice, until now. The press conference was Mom's idea, surprisingly. If we're going to admit we were wrong, she'd said, let's do it properly. Now, standing in front of Dad's old gallery with renovation plans displayed on easels behind us, I watched my mother step up to the microphone. 6 months ago, she began, her voice shaking slightly. I made a terrible mistake. I took this gallery, my late husband's legacy, and tried to turn it into something it was never meant to be. In doing so, I not only failed this community, but also failed my daughter, Nora. Cameras flashed. In the front row, Nicholas gave me a subtle thumbs up while scribbling in his notebook. My husband believed in art, Mom continued. He believed in supporting local talent, in giving voices to new artists. And our daughter inherited not just his talent, but his vision. Alec stepped forward next, looking uncomfortable in front of the cameras. We're announcing today that the failed retail development project will be completely restructured. Under Nora's direction, this space will become the city's largest independent arts complex. A reporter raised her hand. Is it true the original investors are suing for mismanagement of funds? The situation with previous investors has been resolved. I cut in smoothly. Our new partnership with the National Arts Investment Coalition ensures this project will proceed as planned. Ms. Mackenzie, another reporter called out, your recent exhibition at the Edge Gallery sold out completely. Will you be showing your work in the new complex? No, I smiled. My role here is as director, not artist. This space will be dedicated to emerging talents who need what my father once gave me, a chance. After the formal questions, Mom approached me, wringing her hands. Did I do okay? You did great, Mom. And she had. The admission of her mistake, the public acknowledgement of my worth, it meant more than I'd expected. There's something else, she said quietly. I sold my pearls, and some other things. I want to contribute to the scholarship fund. Before I could respond, Evangeline burst through the crowd. Sorry I'm late. Did I miss the part where they admitted they were horrible people? Eve, I hissed, but Mom actually laughed. Yes, you missed my public confession of horrible personness, she said, but I'm sure it'll be on the evening news. Evangeline blinked, clearly thrown by Mom's humor. Well, good, as long as you know. Nicholas joined us, his press badge swinging. Nora, the contractors want to know when they can start the renovation work. Tomorrow, I said firmly. We're not wasting any more time. Speaking of time, Alec appeared, looking nervous. Can we show her now, Mom? Mom nodded, pulling an envelope from her purse. We found these in the old office while clearing it out. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. Dad at art shows, Dad with young artists, Dad in this very gallery. And in many of them, a small girl with paint-stained hands, looking at him like he hung the moon. There's more, Alec said, leading us into the gallery. In the back office, they'd set up Dad's old desk exactly as it used to be, complete with his coffee-stained calendar and the silly art director extraordinaire nameplate I'd made him in 3rd grade. We thought, Mom's voice wavered, this should be your office now. I ran my fingers over the nameplate, feeling the uneven clay beneath my fingertips. You kept this? Dad never took it off his desk, Alec said. Not once in 20 years. Evangeline sniffled loudly. Okay, this is actually kind of beautiful, but I'm still watching you both. As you should, Mom said seriously. We have a lot to make up for. Nicholas cleared his throat. Hate to break up the moment, but the contractors need signatures on these permits. I sat down at Dad's desk, my desk now, and picked up a pen. As I signed, I noticed a small sketch in the corner of the desk calendar. Dad's distinctive style showing this very gallery but reimagined, expanded, full of light and art and possibility. He drew that the week before he got sick, Mom said softly. He always had bigger dreams for this place. Then let's make them happen, I said, signing the last permit. All of us, together. Alec picked up the nameplate, smiling. Should we get you a new one? Something more professional? Don't you dare, I warned. Some things should stay exactly as they are. As everyone filed out to meet the contractors, I stayed behind for a moment, taking in the office. Through the window, I could see the gallery space where everything would soon change, where Dad's legacy would live on, bigger and brighter than before. We did it, Dad, I whispered. We're bringing it all back. Better than ever. And somewhere between the past and future, between loss and redemption, I felt peace finally settle over me like a warm, familiar blanket. The gallery hummed with excitement on opening night. Light poured through the renovated skylights, illuminating artwork from 20 local artists, each piece selected personally by our new artist committee. This is surreal, Evangeline said, adjusting my blazer. Look at what you've built. Before I could respond, a young woman approached us, clutching a portfolio to her chest. Her hands were paint-stained, just like mine used to be. Ms. Nora? Her voice trembled. I'm Sarah, one of the scholarship recipients. I just wanted to thank you. Without this opportunity, show me your work, I said, gesturing to her portfolio. As she spread her pieces across a nearby table, I saw Mom watching from across the room, a proud smile on her face. These are extraordinary, I told Sarah, especially this one. I pointed to a portrait that seemed to vibrate with emotion. How would you feel about a solo show in our emerging artist space? Her eyes widened. Really? But I haven't. Neither had I once upon a time, I smiled. Sometimes all you need is someone to believe in you. As Sarah hurried off to share the news with her family, Alec appeared with Nicholas. The Arts Council is impressed, Nicholas said. They're talking about additional funding for next year's programs. Alec nodded. And the investment coalition's already asking about expanding to other cities. They want you to oversee the whole project. Let's focus on making this one perfect first, I said, watching more guests stream through the doors. Where's Mom? Giving a tour to some university representatives, Evangeline pointed. She's actually getting pretty good at talking about art. I watched Mom gesture enthusiastically at a large installation piece, using terms she'd insisted on learning over the past weeks. She'd thrown herself into this project with surprising dedication, determined to understand the world she'd once dismissed. Nora! Sarah's voice called out. She was waving from across the gallery, standing next to a distinguished-looking woman. The dean of the art school wants to meet you. As I started toward them, I passed the wall where Inheritance now hung permanently, a reminder of where this journey began. But now, beside it, hung a new piece. Dad's old sketches of the gallery, professionally framed alongside photos of what we'd created. Your father would be proud, Mom said suddenly beside me. Not just of the gallery, but of you, how you handled everything, how you brought us all back together. Even though I basically blackmailed you both? She laughed, a real laugh, not her society chuckle. Especially because of that. You fought for what you believed in, just like he always did. Alec joined us, loosening his tie. The caterers need approval for something. Should I handle it, sis, or do you want to? You handle it, I said. You're getting good at the operational stuff. He beamed at the compliment. These days, he seemed happier managing budgets and logistics than trying to be the son he thought Mom wanted. Oh, before I forget, Mom reached into her purse. I found one more thing in Dad's old files. She handed me a sealed envelope, Dad's handwriting on the front. For Nora, when you're ready. Inside was a single sketch, me, as a little girl, painting at his gallery. But he'd drawn an adult version of me, too, standing confident and successful. At the bottom, he'd written, "Some people see the art, others make it happen. You, my dear, will do both." He knew, I whispered. He always knew. Of course he did. Mom squeezed my hand. He saw you clearly. I was the one who needed glasses. Nicholas appeared with champagne. Sorry to interrupt, but they're ready for the official ribbon cutting. As we gathered at the entrance, I looked at the faces around me. Mom, finally seeing me for who I am. Alec, finding his own path instead of the one chosen for him. Evangeline, who never stopped believing in me. Nicholas, who helped share my story with the world. And Sarah, representing all the artists who would find their voice here. Would you like to do the honors? Mom held out the scissors. I shook my head. Together, all of us. As we cut the ribbon, applause erupted through the gallery. But I wasn't focused on the crowd or the cameras. I was looking at Dad's nameplate, now hanging beside the entrance. Art Director Extraordinaire. Below it, we'd added a new line, "Where dreams take shape." And in that moment, surrounded by family, both blood and chosen, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even or getting better. Sometimes it's about building something so beautiful that the past becomes just another color on your palette, ready to be transformed into something new.